This program is brought to you exclusively by Pintu Report.
Malaysia's education system has always been under public scrutiny among Malaysians from all walks of life.
It certainly is a concern because even country like Vietnam, the small country like Brunei, they are way ahead of us. Look at Singapore, it's a fantastic example for us. Singapore is a small nation and they score the highest.
Parents' expectations have increased and corporations are concerned if the system can equip our children for the challenges of the 21st century.
Have we taken the correct measure and takeaway? I think we have not.
What kind of education prepares our students to make it in a globalized environment?
You should look at a value where in itself is a merit, and you look at the absolute value of that particular, so it does not matter what religion, what race and so forth.
And is the situation more challenging for Sarawakians? We'll never stop learning on Decimal Point. Ever since the United Nations introduced its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, countries have been echoing the shared blueprint for its own development. In particular, SDG 4 is quality education to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So how about Malaysia's education ecosystem? Is it in line with SDG 4 and at the same time able to fulfill the nation's economic agenda?
Saudara tahu bahawa gas ini adalah methane, CH4. Kalau pecahkan methane, anak-anak dapat mengeluarkan metanol. Metanol ini adalah CHOH. CH4 masuk oksigen di sana, jadi CH oksigen H. Maknanya gas kita pecahkan, keluarkan metanol. Hari itu metanol adalah fuel untuk industri kapal. Nya ada pakai minyak lagi, nya pakai metanol. Dan insyaAllah Sarawak akan menjadi tempat mengeluarkan metanol di kawasan kita. Sebabnya kita sudah ada syarikat 100% owned by Sarawak producing methanol through Sarawak Petchem. Jadi jangan susah. Kerjaan sudah sedia untuk anak-anak Sarawak. Belajar saja.
With ambitious plans in place for Sarawak's future, there's no other alternative than supercharging the education ecosystem. How can we make education system more inclusive and also accessible to everyone?
We tend to pick the wrong universal value. To me, there should be what you call universalism of education, right? You should look at a value where in itself is a merit, and you look at the absolute value of that particular, so it does not matter what religion, what race and so forth. If you belong to that hardcore poverty, right, and we want to make it equitable, then we adjust however much we need to adjust to make you come to the same level, regardless of your race, of your religion, right? In that way, we will make the education become equitable. And accessibility also become same thing, equitable. That's where I think we should be going, yeah.
Why is an education ecosystem important? It is because of the network of stakeholders, school leaders, teachers, and parents, each playing a unique role in collaboration with each other to support and enhance a student's learning experience. In fact, the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025 was drawn up with input from many sources, including UNESCO, World Bank, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD), 6 local universities, principals, teachers, parents, and students from every state. So let's talk about the Malaysia Blueprint or Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025, where there was a lot of parties involved to coming up with this education blueprint. But recently in the PISA 2022 results came out quite concerning, which could also reflect the quality of education that we have. Is this something that we should be concerned about? And also, are we doing the right, or are we taking the right takeaways from these results?
Malaysia started entering PISA in 2010. In 2018, the average score for mathematics, reading, and science, it was at 440 in the range. And 2022, we have dropped significantly. The average score is now at 409. Right? Although, I mean, one can argue that if you look at the statistic, every other country in Southeast Asia dropped a little, but Malaysia as a whole dropped the highest. And, you know, it certainly is a concern because even country like Vietnam, a small country like Brunei, they are way ahead of us. I mean, look at Singapore. It's a fantastic example for us. Singapore is a small nation, and they score the highest. So obviously it is a concern for the country. Why are we at today's technology and in the amount of budget the government gave for education, and we are at this position? It is really alarming. So have we taken the correct measure and the takeaway? I think we have not. I really feel the people in authority need to have a wake-up call. What are we suffering from? I feel we need to really know and understand the instrument. Perhaps the people who are in the position to make a change, they may not even understand the instrument, what is being measured, and you know, what could change the score, what could alter the score, right? For example, they taken samples from wide spectrum of socio-economic level, you know, the well-to-do school and the not well-to-do school, the public school, the private school. We have wide-ranging score. We have people who score extremely low, like, you know, literally fail with 20% kind of score, to people who actually have scored 500 over also. Competing that of Singapore. And so what is the problem? That means this is signifying that we have got a very wide-ranging type of schools in Malaysia. And is that surprising? It's not surprising, right? I mean, we now have the best of international school, best of private school, and then we have the worst kind of schools that don't even teach anything, basically. How can we now perhaps push the curve to make it more positively skilled instead of negatively skilled? Right now, it is amazing. It is 50% on the negative side and then 50% on the other side. So
we have the two ends of the spectrum,
exactly,
so to say.
Exactly.
So our concerns are warranted. It is something to be concerned of. And and in your opinion, what can we do to improve this, to improve our score for the next PISA?
Go to the subject matter and teach them the proper subject. You know, math, teach them proper math, reading, or whatever. These are the things that really matters. Go back to the basic.
Back to basics.
Yeah, back to
right.
basics,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the very core of the subject itself,
Exactly,
because if
yeah.
your basics is not there, that's the foundation to
Yeah.
your knowledge itself.
Yeah.
Then this is about maybe a few years ahead, because many have said that there is a shortage of engineers and skilled labours in Malaysia. What do you think, or how do you think we can improve on the education, or at least improve on this kind of shortages that we have here?
We talk about STEM, and our Prime Minister talk about, in May, he talked about shortage of how many tens of thousands of engineers and so forth. The interest right now for students to go into science stream versus art stream, it is now at 70-30.
Yeah.
All right, so arts is 70 and science is 30. And the government want to change it to at least 60-40 or something like that, if it is not 50-50. Many of these public schools, they do not even have proper science lab like what we used to have. You know, like when we were in physics classroom or lab work, I remember we overstay our session and we even overlap to the next session because we were still playing with the trolleys and the equipments and the chemicals that we were making things out of, colorful gas and so on and so forth. And we have those things. And from what I was told, and from what reports have come back to us, many of these schools today no longer have these kind of apparatus, lab that we used to have, and so they are teaching them theoretically. So how to excite students into STEM program? You can talk and say all you want, but you won't be able to give them the experiential learning. So therefore, I think, again, I really think our authority need to go back to the drawing board. They need to understand the intricacies of how science knowledge are acquired, how a student can begin to be impacted in terms of what the science can do to them in our day-to-day living. We implemented a system that is known as a co-op program or a praxis concept. Praxis concept is simply a place current practitioner prepare them for the future practitioner.
Everyone should have access to education. While Malaysia has achieved high enrollment rates, disparities remain in remote and underserved areas. So what is your opinion when it comes to the urban-rural education disparity in Sarawak or in Borneo as a whole?
I think this is inevitable because the island is so huge, it's so big, right? There are probably different strategies that the government could take. I thought of something that we did in Selangor several years ago. We came out with a school adoption scheme whereby the more advanced schools that have lots of experience in various teaching methodology, digital gadget and so forth, these schools will adopt 2 or 3 rural area schools and to like a buddy system to help them to implement whatever they need to implement, and any of the maybe a little past generation kind of computers can be passed on to them.
Integrating technology is pivotal in reshaping the educational landscape and bridging educational gaps, like online learning platforms, educational apps, digital classrooms, and digital tools and resources for teachers. The Sarawak government is set to implement the Free Education Initiative in the year 2026. What is your opinion on that?
Now, actually, that is quite worrisome for private providers like us. Quite worrisome because if the government linked universities and colleges are given these privileges, and they're able to provide free education for all, and then government will pay them the fund that is needed. Then what about us private providers who would then go to a university and college that you would need to pay to get a qualification? So that was one of the reasons why I went and I met the government. And so I hope there can be some form of collaboration, PPP, private-public partnership, whereby the private providers can also be absorbed into the scheme. UCSI, you see, is one of the best in terms of hospitality, culinary arts area, in the area of computer science and so forth. So whichever niche that I think we can play a role, I think that would be great. And you know, we don't have to be fully subsidized. And university like us, we are willing to come in to already even provide certain percentage of subsidy for the people, like 30% of it, you know, and the government can help the other portion. We work out some scheme and so forth. Hopefully, providers like us, private providers like us, can be absorbed into the whole ecosystem of free education. UCSI has contributed since 2008 many thousands of graduates from Sarawak itself, from our campus in Sarawak. And we also have produced several thousands of them in the Semenanjung campus. So we have contributed that much. We would have also given out many millions of scholarships to our students, not just in Semenanjung, but also for those who come from Sarawak. Yeah, so also because UCSI is one of the top universities in terms of graduate employability. You can have a look at the tracer studies done by Mohi. We have been number one for the last few years in terms of 100% employable graduates. We implemented a system that is known as a co-op program or a praxis concept. Praxis concept is simply a place current practitioner prepare them for the future practitioner. So the professors and teachers, lecturers, they are the current practitioner. They are preparing for the future practitioner. So we call that concept as praxis concept. So in order to practice, they need to have a praxis center. And so UCSI had come up with hospital, hotels, consulting firms, retail area, telco, construction, and so forth, so that our students and our professors will be able to go and practice in places like that. So that's how I think we can bring the same technology and the same skill set, the same knowledge to Sarawak as well.
So this is all, consider the success stories that you have now and also what you see in the future. So how do you see private universities filling the gaps when it comes to the education ecosystem?
Now, we have lots of jobs that is in the healthcare industry that cannot be fulfilled. We are in great shortages. For example, nurses that are well-trained in terms of post-basic in pre-operative or in the surgery operating theatre. We don't have enough of them. All right, huge shortage. We're not talking about just diploma and bachelor degree, we're talking about post-basic. In other words, these are the nurses who are able to work alongside doctors in ICU area, in surgery, OT, in areas such as CVT, cardiovascular technician, perfusionist. There's just so many, I can just name them all, okay? So a private university like UCSI, we are able to react. If we cannot be proactive, but at least we can react to it, and then we create and curate the right kind of program to be able to supply to the industry. In Sarawak, for example, they're talking about hydrogen energy, and the premier talk openly all the time about how much of it going to be exported to Korea, how much to Japan, and the balance to Singapore, and then if Semenanjung behave, maybe he will sell some to Semenanjung as well, right? So the thing is, you need a lot of engineers who are qualified, who are able to do that. And thank God the government in Sarawak is really, really amazing. And they have got what they call a center of training, whereby the government will taking these number of people who they required, and they'll train them and then train them quickly for 6 months, 1 year to go into the area where they are in shortages. So that is really, really amazing. I think it's called Santec or something like that. So I really think they're gonna fly. That state gonna fly really.
Let's go back a little bit into the past, where we're talking about when UCSI was first established in 1986, where you first started off as a computer training center, but right now you have become one of the top private universities in Malaysia. Could you tell us some of the significant milestones for UCSI?
And the realization that there are so much gaps in terms of national productivity, in terms of job opportunity and so forth. So realizing that kind of needs probably set the right footstep, the right pathway for UCSI to begin to curate, begin to nurture the right talents, and to move on from there. And I think the next biggest thing that I think happened to us was the private colleges at that time, not even University College, no university, was allowed to offer the full degree program that is awarded by a foreign university but fully taught in Malaysia. So that was a significant achievement for all of us. And so all of a sudden, from a diploma courses, centers, all of us were just that kind of a centers, to be able to offer a Bachelor of Arts degree, Bachelor of Science degree, that was a really, really major achievement for all of us. Then the next thing happened was even more amazing. What happened was then we were given the right to become University College. That was in 2005. And for many years, we have been like a surrogative mother. We carry the baby to full term, and then we give them a bachelor's degree, but the degree chop isn't UCSI University. It would be like Liverpool John Moore University, or it would be like Oxford University, University of Northumbria. They are chopped, but the baby is carried to full term by us. We taught everything and so forth. So all of a sudden, the government, Ministry of Higher Education decided that, okay, private colleges, they are ready to become a real mother, real university. So then we offer Bachelor of Arts in something, Bachelor of Science, under UCSI University College or something like that. So that was another major milestone, yeah. And then from there on, of course, the concept of co-op education has really turned us around, because every graduate of ours became very employable, simply because there is a requirement for them to go and work minimum 2 months or to 4 months every single year. So then it came upon a time whereby private universities are ready and mature enough to be ranked in the QS World University Ranking. We submitted our documents and so forth, and the first ever result was announced. UCSI was in the top 500 at that time, and we were the best ranked private university in Malaysia. And obviously this is owed to the fact that our staff all work very, very hard. The last 38 years, it is their contribution, it is their work. Without them, there would be no UCSI University today.
That is true. We only can be stronger together, right?
Thank you.
Yes. Now, in order to enhance Sarawak's education system to meet the economic demands, now how can Sarawak attract more private institutions to be established or to set base in Sarawak or to expand to Sarawak?
You know, education is not like a common kind of product or commodity. It is a public goods, right? And usually it is a responsibility of any government. Sure. Yeah. So in order to attract more private providers into the system, I feel there can be consideration in helping them in terms of setting up the infrastructure. For example, when you build a building, that is what they call cukai taksiran, or an assessment for the building. Yes. Those kind of things can be quite huge. Mm-hmm. So if the government could help in giving some kind of concession, how many percentage of it can be taken off or something, because it's an education goods kind of thing. So that could be one incentive. There are other areas such as high tariff for electricity and water, and like I said, this is a public good, and I think if it is possible, if government can come alongside and give some form of subsidy, I think it will attract more players to come to the state. Now, the other thing is, of course, what is looming ahead. We talk about the free education thing, and that has been quite a concern for many providers. And honestly, I have received a lot of calls from these private providers. What are you going to do? What is UCSI going to do? Can we, talk to government together? Can we be part of the system? So if we can indeed be studied, analyze and see how we can play a role. Those of us who are already in the system, in the state, can we play a role in helping the government in extending education to a wider reach audience? So I think that will go a long way also. Sarawak itself is a gateway to Borneo, right? And with the setting up of the new capital city for Indonesia in Nusantara, and that again will make the entire pie bigger. And so certainly, with the kind of investment the Sarawak government is talking about, they're talking about huge amount of investment by Korean to coming to take part in the hydrogen energy, their Bangkun Dam project, the very rich natural resources and so forth. I think that state is really set to become one of the most advanced and progressive state in Malaysia. And I'm very positive about it because I think Sarawak can achieve it.
Sarawak's goal is to develop an innovative ecosystem with access to quality education. From holistic learning to specialized skills, it's important for the younger generation to adapt to the rapidly evolving technological landscape. In a world increasingly influenced by AI and the Industrial Revolution 4.0, we must supercharge our way to the future.
This program is brought to you exclusively by Bintu Report.